Today, we bring you a face-to-face debate between two powerful minds, two generals from rival superpowers. On one side, General David Raines, representing the United States of America, cold, calculated, and deeply patriotic. He believes that America must act before it's too late. On the other side, General Wei Jun, representing China.com/philosophical, but fiercely proud of China's destiny. He believes that the West is pushing too far. No flags have been raised, no declarations signed, yet the skies tremble, the borders tighten, and the world holds its breath.
Let's stop pretending. Ukraine, Israel, Taiwan, cyber attacks, rogue nukes, these aren't isolated flames. They're part of a coordinated blaze. America didn't ask for this war. But make no mistake, we'll end it. With or without the world's permission.
Your perception is your prison, General Raines. What you call flames, we call reaction. While you send bombers, we build railways. While you isolate, we integrate. The real war isn't in missiles, it's in memory. The world remembers your wars and they are tired.
Save the poetry. General.China funds Russia, plays double-faced diplomacy, and builds missiles in silence. You're not integrating, you're infiltrating. And when your fleet crossed Taiwan's line, you declared your true intention.
Intentions do not start wars. General, arrogance does. Tell me, how many proxy wars has America funded since 1945? The world watched you drop bombs, sanction children, and call it freedom. Now, when balance shifts, you cry foul.
No bullets fired, but words sharp as steel begin the war of ideologies.
Let's talk plainly now. Ukraine was just the beginning. A test? Russia invades, Iran strikes Israel, North Korea flexes, and you, China, sit back and watch it all like a puppeteer. You didn't light the fire, but you handed out the matches.
And you think you carry water? You funded Ukraine to bleed Russia dry? You arm Israel without restraint? And you mock diplomacy by calling every sanction a peace offering. Don't one-handed out matches. General. The world just got tired of your fire monopoly.
We don't want war, but if you think America will sit back while authoritarian regimes redraw borders, you've misread our patience as weakness. This isn't about control, it's about survival. For us, and for freedom.
Freedom, a word you drain dry with every drone strike. You see control where we see order, and let me ask, who gave you the global sheriff badge? Your alliances are falling apart, your influence fading. The world doesn't fear America anymore, it pities her.
Two giants speak in shadows, their armies silent. For now, but their truths carry weight, and the world listens.
Let's not dance around Taiwan. Your warships breach the strait. Your jets buzz their skies. This isn't diplomacy, it's provocation.
Taiwan is China, always was, always will be. Your interference is the only thing keeping the wound open. You armed them, trained them, and now pretend to be the peacekeeper. We are reclaiming, not invading.
That's what Russia said about Ukraine. Reclaim, restore, rewrite. The world has heard it all before. Right before the missiles fly. And let me warn you, Taiwan isn't alone. The Pacific isn't your playground.
And yet, your aircraft carriers drift just miles from our shores. Tell me, who's surrounding whom? While you threaten with steel, we infiltrate with silence. AI, satellites, cybergrids. Your walls are paper thin.
So it's cyber war now? You unleash digital attacks, corrupt communication channels, and destabilize elections, then play the victim? This is not balance. It's subversion, and if it continues, we respond in kind.
Respond how, General? Another $1 trillion in weapons? Another coalition of the willing? Or will you finally admit the truth that your world order was built on control, not consensus?
Lines are being crossed not with tanks, but with lines of code. The next great war may not need a single bullet, just a breach. In silence,
we warned them. Iran kept arming militias, funding terror, pushing uranium limits. Israel acted in self-defense. We supported our ally, as we always will.
Self-defense. You call a long-range bombing run on a sovereign nation defense. You lit the fuse in the Middle East. Again, and now the region burns, while you sell arms and preach peace.
We didn't start this. Iran did, with proxies, with Hezbollah, with Houthi attacks, with nuclear lies. Israel struck a threat before it became a catastrophe, and your silence, General, speaks louder than your slogans.
Our silence is restraint. You escalate. You bomb, you provoke, and when the retaliation comes, you call it terrorism. But how long do you expect nations to tolerate the double standard of Western justice?
Double standard? You sit on the UN Security Council and back regimes that crush dissent, poison civilians, and chant for genocide. Don't preach morality. You lost that privilege the moment you protected Tehran.
We protect sovereignty, something your allies have forgotten. If this spirals into a regional war, or beyond, don't act surprised. You brought the match to the oil field.
The desert is no longer silent. It whispers of war, of betrayal, vengeance, and the world listens, knowing the next spark could ignite a global fire.
Do you hear them? Rain speak global south? Billions of voices, watching, waiting, not cheering for war, but praying for an alternative. They don't want your democracy by drone, or your sanctions dressed as virtue. Nor do they want a China that imitates empires of the past.
And yet you offer them loans wrapped in chains.debt diplomacy, surveillance tech, authoritarian infrastructure. You don't empower the South. You entangle it. We built alliances. You buy silence.
What you call silence is choice. For decades, these nations bowed to your IMF, your oil wars, your regime changes now. They choose something else. Infrastructure, trade corridors, neutrality, and that threatens your illusion of control.
Control isn't the goal. Stability is what happens when your belt and road collapses under its own weight. When the ports you built in Sri Lanka, the mines in Africa, become reminders of modern colonialism, the South will realize too late they weren't partners. They were pawns.
And what were they under your watch, General? You handed them freedom laced with strings, cultural erasure, military bases, economic conditions. China isn't perfect, but at least we listen. You dictated.
Listening is easy when you don't care what's said. Let's not pretend. You're building a better world. You're just building a quieter battlefield.
Caught between giants, the global South remains voiceless. Not because it lacks power, but because the world's loudest arguments drown out its quiet truths. And in this silence, injustice festers.
You know how many times we've come close? 1,962, 1,983, 1995. Miscalculations, faulty sensors. One wrong move and we vanish in ash. We built these weapons as deterrents, not as instruments of policy, and yet, here we are, again, facing shadows from the past.
And whose shadow is longer, General? You're the only nation to ever use them. Hiroshima, Nagasaki. You still hold the largest arsenal outside Russia. You test new delivery systems. You station warheads in Europe and Asia, and then you preach restraint.
We haven't used a nuke in 80 years, but look at the world. Russia threatens with tactical warheads. North Korea parades missiles every month. Iran flirts with enrichment, and China? You've tripled your stockpile in just a few years. Building silos in deserts, arming HYPERSO and ICS. So tell me, who's holding the match now?
We arm because you corner us. Missile shields in Japan, submarines in the South China Sea, a pivot to Asia that looks more like preparation for war than peace. And when we mirror your actions, you cry foul.
That's not a mirror, that's escalation. And the worst part, these bombs aren't weapons anymore. They're bargaining chips. You build them not to use, but to flex. To show the world you can't be pushed. But what happens when someone calls your bluff?
Then we all lose. And deep down, you know that's the truth. These weapons protect no one. They only ensure that if one empire dies, the world dies with it.
The world does not end with fire. It ends with protocol. A signal misread. A radar blip ignored. Not rage, not revenge. Just the slow, calculated collapse of reason.
You talk about balance and restraint, but let's be honest, the battlefield has evolved, and nations that lag behind AI warfare are already defeated. Our drone swarms don't panic. Our predictive systems don't miss. We've entered a new era where the margin of error has shrunk to milliseconds, and human emotions, fear, rage, hesitation, are liabilities. Asterisk, we use AI not just for efficiency, but for surgical precision. No more carpet bombing. No more boots in the mud. With neural targeting drones and real-time satellite analysis, we can neutralize a nuclear convoy without touching a civilian. That's not brutality. That's evolution. The question is, will you adapt, or will you drown in nostalgia for conventional war?
Your surgical strikes have already bled the world dry. General, you dress it up as progress, but it's mechanized imperialism. Algorithms don't feel guilt, drones don't testify, and civilians don't get a chance to scream when they're mistaken for thermal signatures. Asterisk, let's not pretend your AI isn't biased. It's trained on data you control, through wars you justified, and soon, your machines will make ethical decisions, who lives, who dies, based not on morality, but on meta. Asterisk, you fear China's rise, because we've matched you in machine warfare. Yes. We've developed a missile defense. Yes, we've built swarms and autonomous naval systems, but unlike you, we haven't made our generals obsolete. We still believe war is a decision of conscience, not computation.
Conscience? Don't hide behind that. You're building your own neural networks to scan political dissidents. Your eye isn't protecting peace. It's preserving control. And when your autonomous subs patrol the Indian Ocean, are those conscience-led decisions too? Asterisk, the world is headed toward automated deterrence. Either we shape the code, or the code shapes us. We don't have the luxury to debate whether AI belongs in war. It's already here. What matters now is who programs the future, and who gets left behind.
And what happens when the code decides it doesn't need you anymore? General, when autonomous units start making decisions that even you can't override. When deterrence turns into automated escalation, your machines may strike fast, but peace is always a human thought.
The future of war no longer marches in boots. It hums, learns, it watches, and in its cold memory banks, it stores every war, every kill, every glitch. The question isn't if AI will change war. The question is whether war will change us first.
You ask why we strike first? Because the world doesn't wait. We don't get to be idealists, General. We lead alliances. We carry responsibilities. When Iran arms proxies, when North Korea tests warheads, when Russia marches into sovereign borders, someone has to draw the line. Asterisk, every drone we launch, every missile we intercept, isn't an act of aggression. It's containment. We prevent collapse. We ensure order, and if we sometimes act alone, it's because no one else has the guts to. Asterisk, you call us arrogant. Maybe we are, but history will ask, who kept the balance when the world tilted toward chaos? We'll be the answer, even if we're hated for it.
You speak like a savior, but you act like an empire. You launch preemptive strikes and call them peacekeeping. You surround rivals with bases, and then call their resistance a threat. And when your wars go wrong, you rewrite the story. From Vietnam to Iraq to Libya. Asterisk. But there's one thing you still don't understand. Survival isn't about dominance. It's about restraint. The most powerful man in the room isn't the one with the biggest bomb. It's the one who refuses to press the button. Asterisk. China doesn't seek global obedience. We seek balance. Multipolarity. A world where no one nation decides fate for everyone else. You talk of order, we see control. You talk of allies, we see dependencies. In the end, General, it's not about who wins, it's about who leaves something behind, worth saving.
Then maybe we're both wrong. Maybe this war isn't about countries, maybe it's about who we become after it's over.
If anything remains of us, to reflect.
They spoke for power. They spoke for survival. They spoke to defend nations carved by history. And now those same histories hold their breath.